And welcome back, everybody, to the AGE Open Series Players Championship. We are now at the pointy end of our Swiss phase. We have 6 players fighting for the top 3 spots, of course, in that top 8, or the last 3 spots, rather. I'm Mitch Leslie here, joined by Josh Myers. It's been quite a day so far. A lot of Dromai, a lot of Iyslander.
Yep.
We are playing untimed games here through the Swiss, so we've had some longer rounds, but yeah, we're starting to get to the business end of things, and we can have a look at the top 8.
Yeah, of course, yeah. All these players who worked hard today, who've honestly been competing really well, and also some of the dark horses that have come out and are doing kind of like the one-ups. So you're going to see, so far right now, Tyler Horsepool securing with Kodachi Phi, Andrew Rudin, Briar Fuzzy on Levia, Alexander 4 on Dory.
No. That homie be on Iceland.
Yeah. And so it's going to be Phi, Dromai, Briar, Iyslander. Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah. The pictures confuse me, but it's so cool seeing some unique decks being brought and doing well. Tyler Horsewell, especially on Phi's Kodachi, is super interesting. It's not a deck that's commonly played, but has been doing very well at pressuring these Levias and these setup decks.
Yeah, really straightforward build that doesn't have warmongers diplomacy in there either. It's really leveraging like even bigger than that just to create these like really large turns and just try and be quite threatening, especially in a situation going second. It's all the things you come to expect, of course, like your Art of War is in there, and Tyler's been putting pressure on a lot of these players. In the Levi matchups, we've seen him confidently race against them. He feels like he has a sufficient blue count to deal with Iyslander to some degree, but there's still the disruption he'll have to go up against.
Yep.
Our next matchup, obviously, there you go, fix that for you. Our next matchup is going to be an Iyslander versus Dromai head-to-head. A player who's always got plenty to say. Peter Buddensiek here will be one of your players in the feature match area. On Iyslander, now normally known as a Kano player. You actually might have seen him at the recent, was it the PTI event actually, playing on stream against his teammate Margin Bay. It was Iyslander versus Peter's Kano. Very close game. Peter has since moved over now and is on Iyslander for his, I think he said he's played 15 games or so of it. So again, a wizard player, but doesn't have a huge amount of Iyslander games under his belt. Still fighting for top 8 here is a big deal.
He's definitely a very experienced wizard player and has a great team to back him up. And I think that's a big part of like a lot of these players that are here today. They have people that support them. They can test. They can bounce ideas off of them. So it's great to see the representation from those teams and those regions come through. Peter, also being from Las Vegas, has traveled out to from multiple of these AG events to qualify. So really putting that grind, putting the time in, and he's coming really confident into making this top 8. I'm excited to see what he has in store against this Dromai, because traditionally I think the Dromai versus Iyslander matchup is a very common one you'll see more and more in the meta.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Peter's opponent. It's going to be Travis Wagner here on Dromai. Having to play, I've seen him play multiple mirrors. He just had a match against Craig Pollack in which he was able to prevail. Quite a long game there as well. And obviously, Travis, pretty well accustomed to much of the competition here today. And obviously picked up Katsu. That's how he actually made his sort of way here onto the leaderboard, actually. Yeah, top 8 in the AG Open with Katsu, and able to switch over towards the Dromai and find some great results here. So Travis doesn't even expect himself to be in the finals, but he's fighting for a spot at it right now. Both players are 2-2. So again, 3 wins get you into the top 8.
Yep.
3 losses has you eliminated from the tournament here. So there's a lot on the line between these two. And we can talk about the matchup here a little bit, because historically, Dromai, pretty frightening prospect for Iyslander. Obviously, blowing up these dragons in the layer step is a great way to sort of take some pressure off you. But
crazy.
If you're not able to do that, if you don't have the right card in your arsenal, then you can find yourself getting overwhelmed. Having these poppers is obviously really important, but still, I don't think it's a favoured matchup for Iyslander.
I don't think that matchup is favored at all. It feels very close, and it all depends, I think, on the early game of both players and how they set up. Right when you get around, I think both Dromai and Iyslander, right when they get around 25 health, that's when you see their kind of game plan come to fruition.
Sure.
And Peter's talked about this, and his teammate Majin's talked about this, setting up Iyslander and even particularly Wizard stuff like that. Those small decisions in the beginning are huge into finishing that late game. So we'll see who can get the right cards in the right order early, and it's going to be a great match. We're going to have Iyslander versus Dromai.
Yeah, definitely these first few turn cycles are going to be pretty important, I think, as the players are just sort of setting up over at the table. Peter, I was talking with him about, so how things went for him in Salt Lake City, and he just kind of felt that he wasn't able to get to his pitch stack on Kano. But he's part of testing group. I think it's like him, Margin Bay, even Brendan Patrick. They're all putting their heads together to work towards nationals here. So 3 Wizard players. I wonder what they'll come up with. No prizes for guessing that one correctly here.
So I saw a little bit. Vor was on stream earlier. He's been doing pretty well all day. I saw a little bit of his list. His list has a little more, I think, redliney, kind of a lot of the just not necessarily the big dragons, but a lot of the common and uncommon cards that like go again and create dust. So he's going to be bringing a lot of heat to Peter very fast. It's going to be interesting. Looking at Peter's list, though, his list has Fendel Fighting Spirits. His is like a more of a Bulllander traditional list. So he's going to have answers to some of that. He's going to have Poppers, which is super important against Dromai. Peter also is running 2 Warmongers, which is going to be very annoying for Dromai as well. I think Peter has a very good setup to make it a really great game, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So Peter coming down with a custom Frostbite. We have their builds. He has a Spring Tunic because you need to, you need that Spring Tunic when you're fighting against ice. We're looking at a Mirage play coming down from Travis. He's going to instant Seekers. So this is kind of a reason why Dromai runs Seekers.
So good, man.
You can pitch, you can opt, you can create your dust if you don't have that option early. And Travis is looking really to set up early here.
Yeah, we saw players even running Helio's Mitre at some points in order to do this kind of turn 1 play. It did require you to have something to quell, but now you don't rely on your opponent to attack into you to create that first amount of Ash. Travis is on this big dragon list, right? So obviously the Ash economy is going to be extremely important. And then deploying a passing Mirage here makes that first dragon just that much more difficult to deal with here. And hey, why not throw in a Sigil of Solace? Thumbs up there.
Oh, start at 43 is always the best. That's like the dream when you run Sigils, like drawing an opening hand, first turn. All right, pass. All right, so we have Arsenal pass, has the one Ash, no more Seekers Mitt. I don't think you really need to save the Quell for that.
Nope.
Oh, but Peter playing his own healing, Heart of Fendel opening hand. It's going to heal 1 from that, go to 37. And then this Aether Ice Maiden is very annoying. It's going to actually, it's not something you can ignore because on hit will either require you to discard or pay 2. So Travis is kind of in a rough spot here. He just set up a little bit. You see kind of a Warmongers here.
He has AB1 at least, but you're definitely, you're taking 3.
Yep.
You are taking 3, and you are paying 2 from that fuse effect there.
Yep, so this is kind of like the traditional way, if no one's played against Iyslander, how you get around this card in particular is that it's going to hit. It's really hard for it not to hit. It's a big chunk of arcane damage, but it's going to pitch the blue, you're going to pay 1 of the arcane, and then the rest of it that hits, you just pay the 2, and then you just neutralize that 1 card.
Shout out to Matthew in the chat with a correct observation. Travis here, looking at the deck list, isn't actually on that big dragon build. It doesn't, obviously, we're not running like a Crown of Dominion. In fact, Travis did not register a Crown of Dominion here, but it's correct to say we've got a lot of these attacks. Flame Call Awakening is in the list, of course, and a few of those others. So, yeah, looking, it feels a little bit sort of in between, but yeah, I see 3 Nourishing here. The Ravenous Rebels are all in the deck, so that is correct.
His list is very, I think, custom to him, which I love about Fab, is that he's very comfortable, like 3 Nourishings, the Burn Them Alls. He has 1 Dust Up, or not Dust Up, the one that blocks 4, that has Ward. What was it called?
The Sand Cover.
Sand Cover, yeah, has 1 Sand Cover, 1 Remembrance. So this is somebody who is very comfortable on the deck and someone who knows how to pilot the deck and is looking for setting up his own game plan here. He's definitely need to bring the heat, though, to Peter, and this is a great card to start off with. Yenderai is very hard for Iyslander to remove because of the endurance counter.
Yeah, and of course, no Phantasm here as a result of the Aura Passing Mirage already being in place. So
good, so good.
Yep, follow it up with the Billowing Mirage here, and potentially create yourself an Ashwing. Maybe he doesn't feel like there's enough Ash sort of sitting around to make this particular play. And then finish the chain with a Dust Up. Absolute value town.
Yep, this is what I was talking about, where his build is a little bit between big dragons, a little bit between the red line. He still has his big dragons, but he also has these cards like Passing and Dust Up that are going to, help him generate the Ash resources to make these small dragons, but also just good break points against Peter to not block. Peter says, I don't need to block these. I'm Iyslander. I'm going to set up my own game. He seems to have a pretty powerful hand.
Okay, we like to start with a Scar for a Scar here. Peter opting not to part with really any of the cardboard he was clutching coming into this. Travis obviously getting to make like an Ash neutral play. With that Dust Up is nice to be able to deploy an Aether Ashwing. Not quite rate the Embers level, but he does not have the Ash to make something happen at the moment. Why did he generate an Ash off billing? That's actually correct. Yeah, it should be. That one should be. Ash negative, right? Let's see. Yeah, you should not be creating an Ash token from that because you didn't pitch to it, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
We'll spot it in. Thank you. We have some very accomplished illusionist players in the J, which is going to make for a great time. Here comes a red Aether Ice Vein with a Blizzard shown for the fuse.
All right, so another Aether Ice Vein. So once again, that's the best answer to usually Aether Ice Vein is just pitch a blue, take the damage, move on. But it looks like Travis might not have the blue with that little head shake back. He's like, man, this puts me in a really rough spot. Dromai traditionally playing a lot more reds than blues, so he might have to give 3 cards, if not discard a card, which was not going to be great for Travis at the time.
Yeah, sure, he may have an extra source of Arcane Barrier on the field, but if you don't have enough resources to pitch into this, you are going to feel the pain. That's right, yes. Yenderai would have cost him an Ash, and then somehow he has one with Billowing. We do have eyes on that table there, so that one probably might just have to go through to the keeper. It looks like a sand cover here, which will account for this damage relatively effectively.
Sand cover is a great option too, but isn't it yellow's 4? I think, right? It's just red's 5. I think that's a blue.
That's sand cover.
No, I meant the that one.
Actually, there might have been a yellow. Yeah,
it might have been yellow.
I'm
so sand cover. So sand cover may cover it with that.
I'm fighting against parallax error here at an angle to the screen, so it looks like that accounted for it entirely. And now waning moon.
Waning moon.
Just the 2 being presented here. Travis obviously, and now I think it's pretty clear to Peter that his opponent isn't holding a large number of resources in his hand. So trying to chip away at Travis and only getting sort of 4 damage in there. Was definitely hoping to do a little bit more. Again, none of the big balls that we may be expecting to see quite yet from this Iyslander. And pretty frustrating, I think, to run into a sand cover here. This is probably a turn where Peter's really hoping to disrupt Travis. It was a turn where he should be able to try and rip that hand apart a little bit.
It's true. It's true. Let's see. So Yenderai and Ashwing just for Travis at this point in time. Peter trying to find probably a good card to a good blue card to Arsenal, maybe an ice card, so it could really throw a wrench into Travis's plans. That's a big part of the skill cap in Iyslander. It's not necessarily always just throwing right away, but knowing when to throw that frostbite in the middle of what they're doing to completely change their plan.
Yeah, and obviously if Travis accounts Ash correctly, he wouldn't be able to play the sand covers, as being pointed out. I think we here in the booth have to move past that fact, although I know it's being pointed out in chat. We've got people on the ground to sort of take care of that. If they don't, we just do our job. So
that's sure.
Yeah, duly noted from our audience there.
They just pay us to talk.
Yeah,
that's it. All right, so he played the cold snap. He drew a card because it's from Arsenal, and he gives Travis a frostbite. So here's a quick question. I don't know. Does Travis? So you don't use the frostbite. Does it affect your weapon at all? I don't think it does. Right? To have go again.
Yeah, we'll see here. Travis is. I think someone pointed his pitch there and flipped over that Ash token.
All right, we have someone on the ground talking about the board state currently.
Oh, Dromai, that might be...
That's Fab Metal Tokens. If you go to any event in their booth, they have that. It's a metal card, and then it's front back. It's really cool. So go check out Fab Metal Tokens if you're interested in that particular version.
Okay, we have the cold snap here, inflicting a frostbite. Still some deliberation about that. Okay, we're getting ashy up here. Yeah, so
we're getting ashy up here.
Yeah, there's quite a lot. There's quite a lot going on with that pitch zone and that Ash token. We will just attempt to read board stay as it stands. I think.
Correct. They're deliberating some.
All
right. He says no frostbite right now. All right. That's the end for Travis. So now we're on Peter here. Peter, it's very interesting. He has a couple different options.
We just had some shortcutting, so they were working their way back through it.
Okay, no worries. Yeah.
Okay.
We've been told by production there was some shortcutting. I think when it came to Ash generation and such like that, and I think there were apparently working back through it. I don't really. I mean, there was a lot to work back through from our perspective, so it's unclear what the remedy was here. As far as we can tell, the game is proceeding apace, despite that.
Yeah, these players actually play like really fast, and especially Peter. Peter's fastest hands.
Yes.
And, so I'm sure. Oh, Fendel's pretty good for him. Heal 1. Pop. So it was the 5 go again off of the E-Strike, and then he's going to go 7. This is Bullander, baby. This is damage. This is going to be a lot for Travis to take. And Travis just had a pretty big health leak, if you ask me. I remember Peter taking a lot of damage, and now we're back down to pretty much even. So that's how Peter's so comfortable, and he knows his damage, is that he knew he can go down that low and bring it back.
I guess, yeah, obviously deploying now this big attack does a lot to answer the life deficit.
Yep.
Peter will be Arsenal-less going to the next cycle, though.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, I guess he's, the board from Travis, as it stands, doesn't look too threatening. He's probably happy enough, and if it takes the risk of not drawing a popper. I mean, passing Mirage is on the field as well, so
it's true. Passing at that point, passing Mirage, right, it like prevents you. So at that point, just throw it at him.
Yep.
Do the damage.
I think Travis here is deliberating on blocks. Okay.
Yep, that's 5.
Gotcha. Yeah, places over the Enlightened Strike, but it is blocking.
Yeah, because he had his
Finest
dragons in the
fighters
way.
for-
Yep.
All right. Peter says, okay, I've thrown a bunch of damage at you now. I'm going to draw my cards and off you go. So no real disruption opportunities from Peter this turn. What we got? Ooh, there's a winnable in hand. Okay. Well, that may be relevant.
Hopefully, depends on the order of attacking here. Does he do the Ash Wings first or the Yenderai? That's another big skill check for Dromai, is knowing what your opponent can do to punish you and knowing how to sequence it correctly so you don't get as punished as hard.
You got to. I mean, with a passing up, you got to throw the Yenderai, right? Or another maybe more relevant.
Well, yeah. What if he has a new big dragon?
Yeah.
What if he has like a Kyloria or something that he might enjoy
Sure.
a little more?
Nothing to really steal except a card here for Travis, but I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Whoa! Look
About
at this.
That. How about that,
Man,
Mr. Myers?
figuring out the dragons. Kyloria, super cool dragon. On hit, draws a card or steals an item. Peter has no items currently, so it's going to be draw a card if it hits. Peter won't be able to block it, or won't be able to pop it.
Oh, but the sequencing here sees Yenderai come across the board first. Peter
Yep.
says, okay, I'll
Awesome.
take that.
So passing Mirage is off currently. So the next now Travis is like, which do I send next?
Now, surely you send an Ashwing in here.
And yep, Peter's going to choose to pop Ashwing because it just stops the damage. It's like, let me just end your turn right there. I don't want to deal with Kyloria. So 24-24, kind of stabling out. So this is where I was saying, or like kind of the mid game is where you see some power spikes out of Dromai and Iyslander. And you're seeing it now to Peter with the Fuse Aether as well. I think that is a
red. We're turning our head sideways.
it looks like a red one. Yep, it's a red one for 5. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Red one for 5. So does Travis have a blue in order to mitigate some of this, or is he stuck with an all red hand again?
Or like a sand cover that Peter responds into with the waning, which I think is
That
what
was just
happened on
one
that turn.
sand cover too.
Yeah, but I think
One.
Peter in response activated a waning moon to eat up the ward on it, as was pointed out.
That
in
makes
chat
sense.
there, so
That's cool.
thanks again for that,
Cool knowledge.
Mr.
You can do
Mr.
that.
W in the chat.
Yep.
So
Cool knowledge.
perhaps not such a powerful answer to what Iyslander can do to you here. I think Travis says, "I'm taking it all to the face. Take 5 now. Discard
Discard
unless
1.
you pay 2.
Or pay 2, yeah. Discard 1. Yeah,
Discard
so
Asvalai.
I think he had an all red hand there, and that's really all you can do when you have an all red hand there. It's not worth giving 3 cards and then still having to discard after. You just take it and go for it.
So in this position as Peter, that is a popperless hand. So you're hoping, I guess, I don't know what he's stuck in Arsenal, but how frightening is this now from the Icelander's position? There's like a pretty robust board of dragons here and no like clear popper answer in hand.
Mm-hmm. It's getting kind of scary. You know, what I find that when your critical mass of dragons starts accumulating, when you're like 2 big dragons in, that's when you start seeing like the pressure really come in for sure. So he has these 2 big dragons. If he puts any more on it, Peter's really gonna be sweating because he won't be able to keep up with that damage. I think that's a big thing about Iyslander is that her damage cap, she's going to do so much on a turn, if that makes sense. While Travis, if he continues to develop his board, can exponentially start growing that damage as well. So when does Peter start deciding to just clear dragons versus just race?
Yeah, like, to what degree is like, does he have the capacity to do so, right? Pretty hard to answer multiple dragons in a turn. Big shout out, by the way, Nathan Crawford from the Car Guys. I see you in chat, bro. Thanks for the support.
Thank you.
Have to catch up again sometime soon. Hopefully cast some of your games, Nathan.
Bev in Vegas.
Legend, absolute legend.
All right. So a good little block on Rabble.
Yeah, I like that. A cool 3.
Generating in Ash.
Ash Police on high alert here.
Yep.
So we got like an Ice Bolt there. Looks like a Brain Freeze in hand for Peter.
Now he's wondering, does he have a popper? And this is kind of like the mind game, the psyop that Peter can play here, because he is
Down and dirty from Arsenal. How about that?
Crazy. and so Travis has to be very protective, because if he loses a big dragon here and ends his turn, Peter can just pop off.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to work with here for Peter. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So as we discussed earlier and sort of incorrectly labeled Travis as playing a sort of big dragon list here, I mean, you're pretty wide on this turn. These can't be popped. So Travis obviously has a greater degree of resilience to that strategy here.
Yep.
I mean, presumably this is, go again. Yep, go again, 5. All right. So already 9 damage presented. I think it was 9, right, with the Rabble flip. Yeah, presented on the turn cycle. The great debate. Levia, Levia, Iyslander, Iyslander.
We're cool. I call her Iyslander. Yeah. We're homies. We're chilling.
Peter, must be nice to be on a first name basis. With,
It's real great.
The Witch of the Wastes, yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
Love House.
All
right, so we got the icicle, and then with the waning on top.
Okay. So fair enough, I suppose.
Good trades.
Yep.
Good trades.
Because that's obviously a scary prospect. Is you cannot target dragons with that waning moon. Many people I know sort of know this, but if you're not really familiar with how Iyslander works, you maybe think you have an easy out and try and target a dragon. You cannot do that. Brain freeze time. Hey, you got any 0 costs in your hand, Squire? Let's have a gander.
Show me that hand. When's the last time you got a brain freeze?
I got brain freezed. In game or in general? Literally last night.
Literally the last time, like
I went.
you had a Slurpee too fast.
I did ask me to afters for a triple scoop, and I got mad brain freeze. I also got brain froze in my armory last week. So.
That art perfectly describes what a brain freeze feels like.
Okay, Remembrance, Chromai, Asvalai, and another passing Mirage. What do you take here? Pack one, pick one. What's it going to be?
They're not all great. Asvalai is annoying. I mean, obviously you do win the dragon, so that cuts it in half, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then so I think Chromai is your best bet because it kind of ruins the popper situation after the passing Mirage. And you can just give him the Remembrance and passing Mirage and say, what are you going to do? You can play Asvalai. Peter might have an answer. Peter, though, still doing a great job of making sure he's arsenaling a card so he can keep up with the damage. The minute Peter can't arsenal a card or can't respond to the lair, that's when he'll start losing his grip on the damage trades.
Now, we have a popper in hand. 2 of them, in fact.
Ooh, so he's going to have to wait it out a little bit here, but what dragon do you attack with first?
Surely the Kyloria, no? With no Phantasm seems pretty good. No.
It's going to be Yenderai.
Interesting.
Big Dad Dragon. Ice Eternal, good block.
Is that because you're still concerned about it dying in the layer step?
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder why I offer Kyloria with no Phantasm, but not a Dromai player personally. It'll be an Ice Eternal block here to eat up all that damage.
Not happening. So now Travis is in that situation where it's like, okay, first off, Peter knows what's in his hand. He knows
He's
that
playing with perfect information.
Yeah, perfect information. Peter knows that his threat isn't going to be too great because all he can do is now attack with another dragon. And Travis says, if he has a popper, this could be devastating. End my turn.
No, well, I mean, I'm sure Travis has been in this position many, many times before. There was Asvalai was in here. I think he developed that already. We know he's got that remembrance there as well. Send in Asvalai.
Yep.
And I'll eat that.
Throws a CNC at him. Perfect. So, pop. Boom. Done.
Not quite a Christian Calcano card throw, but it was close.
It's close. I love just scooping people's cards.
Yeah.
I didn't touch it. All right. What do you arsenal? Remembrance or passing? I feel like Remembrance, right? Because then you can get it out really fast.
Oh God, help me.
I think it has to be Remembrance, like because you just get it out instantly, and then
Yeah.
and then you keep the blue for hand for like for Aether.
If you're dealing with like an Ice Vein or something like
Yeah,
that.
and you don't want another one anyway, so I think you keep the blue in hand. Just Arsenal that Remembrance. Oh, he's gonna play it.
Play that.
Okay, nope.
Okay.
Says, what do I need? Let's come back here. Rabble.
No need to sit on it really any longer. What do we want? We want some of these. Yeah, only attack actions here.
And Snatch? Maybe Dust. Give it the Dusty. No. Say E-Strike. Okay, so all attack actions, he says, those are better against Iyslander because she can't pop them. And now for a good little shuffle. And then he's going to Arsenal the Passing Mirage.
Okay.
I don't think Passing Mirage ever gets removed by Peter because that would require you to like waste a Wounding Bowl or a Spirit on there.
I can't imagine that is remotely
Yeah.
approaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Efficiency. Besides, frustrating that Travis sort of starts, opens up with it straight off the rip here. But I guess I would have expected him to sort of leverage Kyloria here, especially because Peter's not using any Ironhide, Iron Rot at the moment. So like maybe it's a little bit frustrating to try and block. But Travis can draw all the cards he wants. If his next dragon gets popped, then it doesn't really matter. Like you're just going to sat there with a full grip. So that might be his sort of thinking. But Kyloria also hits at a break point. So we'll have to ask him. Here comes the ball.
Wounded Bowl. When you first started playing, did you ever think this card was gonna be like in a deck?
No, I didn't. I started playing around the end of Everfest, so I didn't even know this damn thing existed. Top 8 will be today.
Today.
Yeah, we'll be running that right after.
Yep. We're gonna determine this right here, right now.
Gotta feel pretty good. Sending an 8 attack when you're only 2 life south of your opponent.
Feels great.
And this is now you're forcing your opponent to part with cards on their turn and your turn.
You're threatening half their health right now.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no way you can let that happen. And because Peter saw Stormstriders up, and Iyslander looking for that turn where she can just pop off with Stormstriders and just ruin your life at the last second. So you really kind of have to be protective of your health, especially when you're in these like this lower quarter of it.
Yeah, Travis is on AB1 as far as I can see right now with no Ashwings in play. So. Again, we max is 12. That's the ideal. Though I've seen some Icelanders with red Emeritus Scolding, which obviously can change the math if that's
big chunk,
if you're gonna sort of Stormstriders that out.
Let me see if he has it in his list.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is like a very traditional list with some slight tweaks. I think to sort of
His blue Emeritus.
answer them. Yeah, we have all the blue Emeritus. So 12 damage, right? It's best case, it's like the Aether Ice Vein red plus Emeritus blue, which is
I think
9, and then 3 from Waning, which is 12.
Peter has a really solid list, honestly.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel very changed at all
No.
from. No, like I guess like no red Winter Spites and such. I think like Warmongers fit very comfortably into the deck, even if they're not. It's not a matchup you're looking to play it in. So, Iyslander has very functional, even more
Warmonger
very
good.
functional blues that block for 3. Everybody.
Yeah. Didn't need to block for 3. It could have blocked for 2.
Could have been a red block too,
Yeah, I
Could
know.
still have been playable. Anyway, Snatch.
Snatch.
Yeah, Travis reluctant to just a little reluctant to just throw equipment, which I found a little interesting. Again, you know that Iyslander doesn't really have any on hits outside of that CNC, I guess, which you can block cleanly with 2 cards if you should choose so. I tend to throw my equipment at her pretty quickly if I want to race her on like I'm playing Dory, so it's not a great anecdote for everyone else out there at home. It's a bit narrow. All right.
Snatch is always an interesting card because you're like this isn't the end of it. You're gonna steal my purse and then what? All right, like
Exactly.
and Snaps being up is for sure something coming down. So yep, gonna give him his headpiece. Gonna give him a scar for scar. They're the snappies. Boom. Now we have to do more purse stealing with the Ender Eye.
Peter offering the Scar for a Scar here tells us a little bit how he thinks this turn cycle may go in terms of the life balance. He feels confident that he'll enter the next turn with maybe more life. Or
Is
just
the second passing?
which is, I suppose it's fine. It's good adornment.
It doesn't double.
Yeah, no, it
just
doesn't. It's
one,
the first attack each turn. So here comes the Ice Vein. This is maybe why Peter was brimming with confidence in giving up that Scar.
A yellow. Yellow. It's 4.
All right. Got any Oasis Respite, Mr. Wagner?
And then you see that blue in hand, so you know that Waning's coming down. And whatever is in that arsenal may also be coming down, depending on how much you're going to take from this.
What do you think you'd have in there? That's sat there from the last turn, right? That Arsenal card? Yeah.
Pretty sure, correct. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it would have to be, of course, but I'm not sure if
Most
you...
of the time you kind of save your Arsenal card for their turn.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
you don't have an action point. You don't have an action point, right? Unless you Storm Strider it out, you want to kind of go go that way. But your opponent's not in kill range yet. Depends, I guess, how they take damage from this. But
It's true, but you don't have to be in kill range on your turn. They'd be in kill range on their turn because that's how Storm Striders works. So we're getting down probably to the tank. We're in the tank right now of like thinking about.
yeah, maybe Peter parked a Emeritus in that pocket in order to.
Say that really fast.
to go
Peter
for it.
parked an
Yeah,
Emeritus
I
in
was-
a
I was-
pocket. It's really hard.
I've almost got myself into trouble there. Okay, discard. Here is it's just the Waning Moon here. The frosting used as fuel for that attack. Down to 7.
Nice.
Travis with 3 cards in hand. Excuse me.
So it seems like this game goes very aggressively. There aren't any people. They're not really holding back too many blows until the very end. So I always love fast matchups. They're just great for everybody. You get more reps in, more games, get to hang out and eat. Yeah, playing slow by either of them, I don't think will ever result greatly. It's like it's very like, all right, we're gonna set up in the first 10 health, and then we're gonna just run at each other, and whoever gets it gets it. Kind of sad that I haven't seen Kyloria attack yet, because it's like that's a free draw card. That could extend your turn even further, especially running things like E-Strike and Dust Ups.
Might be a great question as well for people like Ian or any illusionist sort of aficionados in the chat, maybe why the preference is to lead with Yenderai here, even though it ostensibly offers less damage. I think it could be because Travis is afraid of what comes out of the arsenal in the layer step. That's my guess.
Rabble
so.
for 4.
All right, that's a decent pick at this point in the game.
Peter wants to see more dragons he can pop and not rabbles. What are rabbles? They're like little gremlins.
Yeah, a rabble is it's a collective term, I guess, but there's only one of these little gremlins printed on the card. I assume it's just that it's the straggler or the lead gremlin. You know what I mean? But
There's more behind them.
presumably there's a peloton of them
Running down the
chasing
hill.
him into battle. Yes, Ozrotten. That's kind of what we're thinking. Yeah, the fear about that Arsenal card
That's true.
popping it. But hey, it's just decoration right now. Ah, that's right. I think it was an Ether Hail that was revealed to fuse.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
Travis
yeah.
probably knows.
He knows.
He knows what that is.
He's aware.
All right, Peter, down to 4. What's next? Travis is like, oh, you're doing this to me again? He does have a popper in hand. Going to 4 is Iyslander. I mean, it should tell your opponent all they need to know about what this next turn looks like.
If he was running Pummel, he might have had
The
the surprise Pummel, but it's okay.
Again, Travis is deciding how much can I afford to part with here. Does my opponent just turn around and blast me? We got Ether Hail, we've got the Waning Moon, and then a Storm Strider card from hand. Could be pretty scary. Looks like there's like an Ice Bolt there. Yeah, do you pass priority with a couple cards in hand? I think Travis has to figure that out. Or do you just send Kyloria on a mission from God to procure a card for you?
It's always so weird playing against Wizard because you need to pressure them, but you can't just drop your whole hand. Like that's not going to result in something great for you. It also kind of sucks for Travis too because he only has the 1 AB. He wasn't able to see his rakes. He wasn't able to generate
no
as
rakes,
many
yeah, that's true.
ash wings effectively, and Peter's been able to manage the ones he has.
I mean, with potentially a free Ash as well. You know, Travis hasn't really been able to build up to like a large amount of. I guess like some of that disruption left him a little bit lighter on cards, so he didn't have the redundancy of being able to pitch to Furnace towards the end of your turn. All right, Flame Call Awakening. This will give us something to pitch to Furnace, just quietly.
Okay.
Let's get a Phoenix Flame.
Yep.
Peter says,
I don't think he's running Phoenix Flames. I think this is just for the 3-go again.
I think he has 1. You got to have 1 in the deck, right, to call up and then throw into your Furnace. Otherwise, it's completely pointless. Like a 3-go again seems odd.
Let me see.
Should be a singleton. Because here you tutor up the Phoenix Flame, you pitch it for 2, right? What's up?
We'll find out real
Well,
quick.
we're deliberating. We're checking the list here.
Checking the list. 0.
You're kidding me.
0.
What's that, mate?
Oh, wait. Whoop.
This guy.
1. Okay.
There's a Phoenix Flame in the deck, chat.
We're all red.
All right.
My bad.
All right, here we go. Okay, so Aether Hail getting a buff from Metacarpus node here. It's time. We're going to Funky Town.
Here we go. We're off to the races. Metacarpus Node, Aether Hail. And the Frostbite, which is a great time to put the Frostbite because of that flame.
So this should be what? 2 + 1 should be the 3. I assume that he did not decline that Metacarpus trigger. So yeah, the Furnace. What is the Furnace coming in here for?
On the layer.
Yeah.
Pitches.
This is before. Okay, so this is before he's able to get the Phoenix Flame. So Peter doesn't want Travis to have extra fodder for Furnace to pitch to, I guess, Arcane Barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like it makes sense in terms of a time to do it. So
Where are we?
This is our stack here. Yeah. So I guess the activation of the Flamescale Furnace came in response. So wait a minute. Are you guys having us on? All right. First of all,
so apparently this is how it resolved.
Let's run it backwards now.
Yeah.
Take 3. The cretin. All right, here we go.
Yep.
Stormstriders.
Yep.
Give me that.
Yep. 4.
Just give me the fist.
GG.
Give me the fist. There it is.
There we go, Peter.
Buddensiek survives. He makes it through the gauntlet. 5 games, 3 wins, sends him on a collision course with his foes in the top 8 of our Arcane Games and Events Open Series Players Championship.
Wore his fanciest jackets today. He's so proud of you. Look how happy
That's his
he
fanciest jacket. I suggest you see a tailor.
His fanciest jacket. Well, underneath he has another jacket too.
He still has shoulder pads. In shoulder pads in the current year of our Lord, 2023. My guy needs it. We need to have a conversation. However, look, he got up to the table. He says, "You know what, Travis Wagner, it's business time." Blazer goes on. Cards come out. Stormstriders flung across the table, and Peter makes it through there. So well played. I mean, a really interesting matchup. Obviously, keeping track of some of the Ash economy in those early turns will prove to be a little bit challenging. But, there's a real... I feel like Travis played really conservatively that game, right? Mm-hmm. He was very concerned about poppers, which I completely understand in this kind of matchup. But at some point, do you think it's just better to eat the popper and not take a winnable coming back your way? Like, how do you find a balance here? This is, again, as we've talked about in the past, this was definitely an Iyslander unfavored matchup, right? You felt good there as Dromai, but Peter really navigated this quite calmly and comfortably.
I think it's a very interesting. You can't give them room, right? You can't play scared. I think that's the philosophy. You can't play too scared against Iyslander because if you are playing a game that doesn't exist, then you're already losing.
Sure.
And so you can't assume that he has something until you see it or until you get information on that.
And Aether Hail in Arsenal is kryptonite to Kyloria and can't kill your Genderai as well. It's probably a big part of that. But it feels like he was just presenting three, and giving Iyslander time to sort of chip away there. So really tough game for Travis and Dromai there.
It really helped that he had non-dragons. He had the E-strikes. He had big turns where he was able to present damage, and Peter had to take it. But yeah, the dragons were just really hard to navigate, like I said, around those Aether Hails, around Iyslander being able to respond to the layer. Yeah. Now, it's like you almost need like a counter spell of some sort to deal with that. But
I felt like there's this mind game of not attacking with the Kyloria because so Peter would keep the card in that Aether Hail just stuck in his arsenal.
Yeah.
And it did get stuck there for a long time.
Yeah,
but eventually Peter just deploys it as part of his kill package at the end of the game, right? He just makes it a 3 because Metacarpus Node buffs it by 1.
But then why did you play the Kyloria if you're not going to use it at that point? If it's just going to sit there, I'd rather you use that resource on me now, right? And then hopefully force you in a more awkward situation. Like he played that Kyloria, and I don't think I saw it attack one time.
Yeah. But again, as has been pointed out, chat, we're aware. Obviously, Aether Hail in the arsenal is going to kill the Kyloria. It's more of a discussion about how best to make use of your sort of resources with that information of knowing what's in your opponent's arsenal and why we're playing around it, which is totally fine. But and again, I think things have changed. As I sort of mentioned in the past, it definitely felt like it was tough for Iyslander, but now there's a lot of options, right? I think that Bulllander list is really strong. Maybe if it's like an Arcane Iyslander list, then things look drastically different because of the dearth of poppers that you would otherwise have in the deck. But
so many poppers.
This Bulllander list is still very good, and looking at the list, it didn't seem hugely changed since that era of dominance that Iyslander had, right? After, I think, when Amulet of Ice got banned, we saw Iyslander players start to bring in Winterspite, maybe even Command and Conquer, right? Something they weren't always looking to use because if you're following the Michael Hamilton school of, people that can't read cards good, then you would, it's not a breakpoint, right? It's 2 for 6, which is, it was good enough now to make its way back into the deck. And we saw some E-strike into winnable turns there from Peter. So having to be able to present that 13 damage after disrupting your opponent on multiple turn cycles seemed like pretty tempo positive for Peter there.
The hard part with people A who know how to play the deck really well, and B with cards like especially wizards that can respond to it, is I find you have to get them in like a weird gray area of them not necessarily knowing the situation. Peter, he was throwing cards like he knew exactly how the sequence was going to go and down. When I'm playing against players, like I'm not going to beat them most of the time on time.
Yeah.
So what I do is I try to like add spice to like really mess them up a bit, and like oh, can I put them in a weird situation, and then from there they trip up their advantage, and then I can kind of find that opening. And I just don't think that Travis was able to bring that type of spice in the mix to make that board state or even his presence against Peter that threatening.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
I mean, let's talk pricing here as well as a reminder. So here is your breakdown. Winner walks away with $1,100. Of course, the title of AGE Open Series Players Champion. Second, $600, and so on and so forth. And that's not all. That's not all, of course. They get this extremely fantastic. I'll call it a bouquet of
Oh yeah, I opened a pack and I put it in here.
That's what it was. Okay, well,
yeah.
the mystique is gone now. To be fair, there could have been some real significance behind it, but also, yeah, you got that quad 9 Arcane Lantern in there as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, we're super stoked for everyone to come out. This is gonna be a great little trophy that they can brag about for the next year until we open up our next series. And all these players are so deserved being here. All of them came out, grinded, traveled, spent weekends here with us, had lunch, dinner. So it's been just an amazing time on the West Coast. Hi, Peter. We'll get Peter in a little bit. Any thoughts left over on this game?
No, I mean, I still don't think it's a good matchup for Iyslander. I think it is like, generally Dromai favoured there. I think Peter navigated it really well. I'm going to get his thoughts about it as well and ask him to talk us through that. But that's it. We've now have our top 8 filled out. We're obviously going to be coming back to you guys with that announcement of that. But first, quick break. We're going to get Peter Buddensiek in here, and we'll chat the matchup. We'll chat the Iyslander triumphing against Dromai to make it to the top 8 here of the AGE Open Players Championship. Don't go too far. We'll be back with that more right after this. Generally heralded as a pretty unfavourable matchup for the Iyslander. Peter Buddensiek pilots the aforementioned to victory over Dromai in your win and in also winning out.
Yeah. It was a lot on the line, that one.
Yeah. How are you feeling? It's been obviously like a decently long day. We're untimed here. You've managed to make your way into the top 8. A snapshot of your emotional state right now. How's it all going?
Oh, I feel great right now. Basically, I came into today saying if I didn't win, it was a failure. So, we're on track. We might not have got there the perfect-wise, like XO into it, but, we're still on track right now.
Now, way back when you're one of the first players that sort of gravitated towards like the Stubby Hammers Fire build and really started to push that, a big Kano aficionado in general. Tell us why not Kano today, like what sort of brought you over to Iyslander and how you sort of feel you've gone as a result of that switch, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately, not playing Kano today. I really wish I was playing Kano. A little bit into testing for this format was I knew who I was going to play round 1. Yeah. And, I played an amazing player round 1. He's just a Dromai aficionado, and he plays Big Dragon Dromai.
Right.
I didn't want to go into today just knowing I was going to lose round 1 and then just needed 3-1 and basically putting my entire like tournament on the line of just like round 2 through 5, right? Yep. I wanted to give myself a chance of winning the first round. Spoiler alert, I did lose the first round.
Was that Zach Warlock you played? Or
no. Andrew Rudin. Yeah,
okay.
So I played Rudin. It was really good. It was a close game. He Tumultied me on turn 1.
Okay, classic.
And, so classic. And then I actually didn't lose the game on the spot. Like, we actually played a really back-and-forth game. I think I was really close. I think he lived at, like, 16 at the end. And I needed to draw my last popper. And then I actually had a chance of, like, Ice Eternaling, like locking him out of a turn, and then winning the following turn.
Sure.
So like it was actually really close, comparatively to like losing my Storm Striders and my Tunic on turn 1 because they popped Storm Striders in response.
Sure.
So it was good. It was good. It was a good match. And then we came from the depths. And
yeah, you managed to submarine your way.
Yeah, we submarine. Yeah, because I lost the first round, and then I won the next 2, and then I lost the 4th round, and then I won this last one. That put me in something to why I didn't want to play Kano, because I didn't want to lose the first round and then like really put a lot of pressure on myself for the rest of the tournament.
Yep.
So I decided to play Iyslander. Iyslander just keeps winning. And like Majin won last week on the PTI event in Salt Lake City. I was there watching him the entire time, and. The Iyslander just keeps winning. Back-to-back Battle Hardened champion, Rhea, and then like the PTI event, and like just
Birmingham, right? Oh no, sorry, that was no, was that not Iyslander?
Yeah, it was it was like Iyslander. So it
Iyslander
was like
and
back-to-back
yeah,
Battle Hardens on Iyslander, and then the PTI event was also won by Iyslander. It just keeps winning.
Yep.
And, like and
Any
you know,
thoughts on that quickly? Like, why do you think, like, how have we all of a sudden come back? Is it something as simple as Warmonger's Diplomacy, or is it just a really solid deck that got slept on by people?
Bullseye Brewster's Band actually does a lot for the matchup of the Lexi versus Iyslander. It's still one of your worst matchups as Iyslander, but it's a lot more winnable than it used to be. I think you're like a 45%, maybe a 42% to winning that matchup, and I think you can rather take that than like the 30% that it used to be, right? I think that gives you a little, like, getting one of those matchups is really good. And I just think, like, all these decks in the format are just suck. Like, everything is just, like, really low powered. Maybe it's not, like, low powered, but, like, everything is more, like, the same power level. There's not something that is, like, overly broken in the
Super
format.
busted, yeah.
And, like, too busted in a lot of formats. And so you're seeing, like, a deck like Iyslander be able to, like, slow everybody down and being able to just, like, not be able to respond to her on the kind of level, right? Like, Kano is the only one that can respond to both turns like Iyslander, and she just plays around it really efficiantly. So Iyslander is just in a solid spot right now.
Deadly consistent as well, I think. Which
Yeah,
is...
you see it's a specialist deck. You know, you see the people that, like, Battle Harden, the Calling was also won by Iyslander.
Yep.
There was the only Iyslander in, like, top 32. Like,
The conversion rate is extremely high for
Yeah,
Iyslander players recently, yeah.
yeah, the conversion rate, the winning percentage of the deck is so high,
Yeah.
but, like, there's not a lot of people winning with it, and that's a deck that is really, really good for the game because the high level is going to win with it. And, you know, if you can memorize the deck to the high level, you know, it's going to go do really well for you.
How do you feel going to the top 8 here? Are there any matchups you're really hoping to avoid, or is there any players you'd really like to pair into and sort of beat in a feature match scenario?
I want to play Tyler Hospital.
Yeah.
I hope he I hope he goes out round 1. I hope I pair against him the first round and stuff like that, knock him out, you know, then it's, you know, easy kicks from there.
He's been
so.
talking some smack, you know what I mean? So
100%, you know, we've been talking some smack back and forth, walking around. You know, this would be an easy dub if I play against him. So, you know, let's go.
You have it here first, of course. Peter Buddensiek on Iyslander, making it into the top 8 at the 11th hour, essentially. We're going to take a quick break. Very quickly, Justin, will we do a different stream for our top 8 like we did? Yes, so we'll be here on the same channel, but it will be a separate stream for the top 8. So once we sort of bring this stream down, give the page a refresh, head over, of course, and look at see what's live. There'll be another stream for that top 8 going live. Yeah, so quick break here for about 5 minutes. We're going to announce your top 8, so we'll be right back with that. Don't go too far. This is the AGE Open Players Championship. We're about to head into the top 8 with an announcement coming right up.